Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Authentic Conversations. I'm your host, Adele Bernard from Transition Clarity. We bring these shows to you as information, understanding of different people out there. I have a love of learning, so anyone I can learn from, I feel I want to share with you. And with that being said, our guest tonight is Dr. Vesna. I'm not even going to attempt her last name because I know I'm going to mess it up. But she is the founder and performance transformation expert with multi-award winning company. She is the author of a best-selling book, Stop Sabotaging Your Confidence, and co-author of Body Mind Rejuvenation book and Game Changers Innovation of Business book. For over 23 years, she has empowered professionals and business entrepreneurs to transform their mindsets, confidence, relationships, and personal and professional results. As a leader, game changer, and innovator in her field, Dr. Vesna is the creator of advanced behavioral change techniques and certification training of respect. As a hypnotherapy, NLP, and OT respect trainer, Dr. Vesna has run over 120 certification trainings and has trained hundreds of mental health, medical, allied health, and other practitioners and coaches in these techniques. She also holds a PhD and a BEc and has over 41 years business experience, including running her own successful company since 2000. Dr. Vesna's passion for transformation and empowering others to excel both personally and professionally is reflected in the exceptional results she achieves with her clients. And with that, I am so excited to have her on the show tonight with you. And welcome, Dr. Vesna, to the show.
Thank you, Adele. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So let's just, as I said, I've done your pre-show. Let's just start out with, has this always been something you were interested as a little girl, like this helping people and high performance and was that you as a little girl so it just made sense to follow that path?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So, as I think way back, my very first career choice at about, I think, age 13 to 15 was to be a nurse.
Okay.
So, I wanted to be a nurse. Now, never mind that I dropped, fainted at the sight of blood. I still wanted to be a nurse. So, I studied all the science subjects in high school. And then something very interesting happened in the third year of high school. We had a substitute teacher, and it was an all-girls school. And
Mm-hmm.
like in any school, you have the good girls, the naughty girls, etc. And some of the naughty girls decided to cheat, and the teacher, substitute teacher, caught them cheating. So
Mm-hmm.
he gave the whole class a C. Now, I was a straight A student, and that was my first C ever. And I was devastated. I thought, no way. I blew it out of proportion. I thought, there's no way I can be a nurse. I can't pursue science. I got a C. So I changed. I made a decision to change my career choice. And I started to study economics, law, and politics. I went into more the humanity type subjects. So,
Wow.
yeah, because of that one incident. Yeah.
Well,
So,
I just okay, hang on, because
yep. Mhm,
that just shows it brings back like you make plans
mhm.
and then God laughs and you and you take a detour.
Yes.
And we never know what that detour is or how young we are when it starts. Okay, so you're 15, carry on. Changed everything.
Yeah, so I basically completely changed my subject. And then I decided in the fourth year to be a lawyer. I thought, I'm going to be a lawyer. So I did my work experience, two work experience placements in two different law firms. And both of them gave me a whole stack of papers to or calculate the vendor statements when people are selling houses,
Yep.
to calculate all the costs, etc. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I have to do this day in, day out, boring, I don't want to be a lawyer. The only saving grace was that the second law firm actually sent me to watch a murder trial at our Supreme Court in the city, in Melbourne. And so that was also a bit disappointing because, you see the trials on TV and there's all this drama and, like a big show. And when you watch it in person, it's pretty boring. Yeah, very dry. So I decided, no, not going to be a lawyer. Then I thought, okay, well, what do I do now? I thought, okay, I want to study economics. So I focused on economics and politics, decided to do an economics degree at university, did some politics as well, did econometrics, which is the maths, the statistics around
Mm-hmm.
economics.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I did that, during my economics degree. And while at uni, this is so bizarre, so funny. While at uni, they had different companies come on campus and wanting to recruit graduates. And so
Mm-hmm.
they would, do a little pitch. This is why you want to work for us, etc. So I went to the Defence Forces once. I went to the Air Force, the Navy, and the military ones. And I thought, oh, I'm going to join the Defence Forces. And I thought, how great would it be to fly around the country? And then when they showed the survival training, I thought, no, that put me off. And then I thought, oh, ASIO is doing, which is our secret sort of equivalent of CIA in America,
Yeah.
ASIO in Australia. They're doing a talk. Oh, maybe I could be a double agent. So I went to the ASIO presentation. And then when they told us what's involved in leading a double life, I thought, no, not for me. So, and then banks came, accounting companies came, and a bank offered me a job there and then. On
Wow.
so, and I stayed with that bank for 13 years. I was an economist there for 9 years. I always joke with my little crystal ball predicting what's happening in economies. And then the last 4 years I was there, I went into corporate strategy, so working on cultural change programs around the bank. And then the last 4 years I was there, I felt like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And this was in my mid-30s. And I wake up one morning and I ask myself, what do I want to do when I grow up? And I couldn't answer the question. So I did a lot of soul searching, self-development, and discovered my passion is people, not numbers. So I retrained in this field, and 23 and a half years later, here I am.
Well, that's fascinating
Yeah.
because I was in, we've quite a few similarities because I was in high school and I said, oh, I'll take the elective of law, whatever.
Mhm.
We end up going to the courthouse, seeing a murder trial, and I said, the evidence isn't showing it, but they got the wrong guy. And my teacher's like, how do you know that? And I go, I just know it. They got the wrong guy. The evidence is showing right and it's left or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And, later on we find out that there's a mistrial. They had the wrong guy. They, finally got the right guy.
Mm.
And she says, are you serious about law? And I said, no. Like, I'm glad I did the elective. Same as biology. So we start dissecting things. I'm out. Nope.
Mm.
Nursing's
Yeah.
gone. Right.
Mhm.
And then it's funny how we go, well, what are we gonna do? And even now, right? Like it's like you're finding your target market. Well, what the heck does that mean? Right? Like anyone
Mm.
could be your target market if they want to change. But
Potentially,
that's
yes.
that's the key. Do you want
Mm.
to change? No. Well, then you're not my target market. Right? And
Yeah.
and I think it's really interesting um how you did that pivot in your career because that's even what I'm doing with with finding my clients right now is that okay, so you've done banking, you've done this, but what's your passion?
Mm, yes.
And that's why I think we our synchronicities are so cool because you're like, yeah, I was collecting a paycheck and it was good,
Mhm.
but like it's not fulfilling.
Mm.
And that's like that's what I'm talking about. It's like we all as people need to rise up and shine our light,
Spot on.
right? So
Yeah.
whether it's you, me, Joe, whatever, let's
Hmm.
get us all shining our light in our passion.
Yeah.
So in your forward, you talked about the different modalities.
Yes.
How did you just pick them or did they pick you or like how did you pick which modalities?
Yeah, it's a good question. The very first self-development seminar ever that I attended was one over, I think, 2 days, a weekend,
Hmm.
that taught me about the subconscious mind. So just learning about the subconscious mind. And I remember that weekend, I spent the whole weekend crying in tears because it was the first time I was actually paying attention to my unconscious mind. So we decided to give me the works. Now that you're listening, here you go.
Here comes
And
the download. Oh no.
that's it. Yeah, exactly. The challenge with it was that it brought up a whole bunch of issues, but there was no resolution to the issues.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was useful in the sense that it created awareness. It made me aware. And then it created a desire for more. It was like, okay, now that this is going on, what do I do with it? How do I deal with it?
Hmm.
And that's where I started to look for different options. And, I had lots of issues to deal with. And so for me, it was important that I got resolution on that. And yeah, just talking to different people, they would suggest come to this seminar, come to this one. And it led me to the modalities I use now. Yeah.
So that brings up another question for me is I've been in those rooms too,
Hmm.
where they've hit some buttons that you're
Yes.
not ready to face. You're looking around like, I don't know about in Australia, but here, like you can have 3,000 people in the room
Yes.
and you're looking around going, my whole world's caving in and there's not a soul that can help me.
Mm.
Right?
See. Hmm.
Like
Yes.
I remember being at what they called warrior camp and I said to one of the volunteers, right? I'm like, are you guys taking in processing time? Are you taking in? And they're like, what's that?
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like these people are leaving warrior camp, not even in their body because they've been traumatized with the things that are supposed to be helping them, like push their buttons to go
Yeah.
back to their families.
Hmm.
They're a shell of who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important that if you're going to go somewhere or do anything and it brings up issues, it's important to then get closure on them. Because the way the subconscious mind works is that if you bring up issues and you don't get closure, it can lead to potentially harmful consequences for the individual as they're seeking closure. So it's really important that people do get closure when
Mhm.
things come up for them. Yeah.
Well, and in my case, one of them actually lost his life,
Oh dear. Mm.
right? And like it was so sad. Um, but happy time.
Mm.
But then it's like, okay, so what would you say to people who are still doing those kind of courses?
Okay. I mean, everything has whatever value you put in, you're going to get value out of it. So whatever
Okay.
people decide to do, it's obviously their choice. I respect that.
Hmm.
Just be aware that if buttons are pushed, that issues are brought up during a seminar or whatever people are doing, to get closure, get help to deal with it right away. Go and see somebody one-on-one,
Yeah.
and get it sorted right away. Otherwise, the unconscious or subconscious mind can become obsessed about getting a resolution. And yeah, it's not always a great outcome.
Well, and
Yeah.
I also want to make it a little lighter in a way of like, okay, so your unconscious is saying, Well, this happened when you were 5. And you go, thanks for sharing. I'm ready to release it.
Yes.
Right?
And
It doesn't have to go into this whole unravel of the trauma and go to years of therapy either.
exactly,
Just
exactly.
being aware that our bodies are magical machines, that
Mm-hmm.
as you're ready to say, oh, that happened, interesting, thanks for
Mm,
sharing, move it on.
yeah, exactly. And the one thing that most people are unaware of is that our subconscious mind, I call it the unconscious mind, will only bring up issues for us to work on when we are ready. Okay, because
Yeah.
it serves us, it's our best friend. So if a button is being pushed and people are getting really angry or really
Mm-hmm.
crying at the drop of a hat, it's a sign that you're ready to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the challenge is most people push it down. They will emotionally eat and suppress the emotion, for example, or they will just say, oh, I'll just soldier on, it'll be fine. And then it just festers on a subconscious level until it blows up later on. And that's what happens with road rage.
Oh, interesting. Well,
Mm,
okay, you've hit quite a few points there, because
mhm.
if you're not willing to look at it, you become overeater. If you're not willing to look at it, you become the alcoholic. If right? Yeah, if you're
Or
not willing.
potential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but like you're medicating, you're watching too much Netflix. You're running too much. It's whatever your um mode of suppression
Or
happens to be,
yes.
you're going to do extra. And it could be
Yes.
sleeping. Like, who knows?
Mm.
There's so many ways of coping. We all
Yes.
have our coping.
Hmm.
And so that's when you got to kind of go, well, why am I watching more Netflix? It could be a cold winter's day, and that's fine. Like,
Mm.
so this week
Yes.
we watched a bit more Netflix, whatever.
Yep.
Um, but if it's going on like in a month and you're like, what's going on? And say your partner's saying, are you okay?
Hmm.
It's kind of a time to say, let's step back.
Yes.
When did this start? Let's
Hmm.
look at what's happening
Yes.
and say, hmm, what
Yeah.
button's pushed?
Exactly. Exactly. So some people will suppress the emotions in whichever way or just ignore them. Other people will blame other people for feeling the way they do. So they'll say, you make me angry.
Mm-hmm.
You've upset me. And they'll push how they're feeling outside of themselves rather
Mm-hmm.
than own it. So we just need to make sure that we are owning our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're over the top, that's another sign that they need to be dealt with.
Well, and it's also, I'm not sure if you're aware, like with your clients, we are in the emotional time.
Yes.
Like the world is going, we're getting rid of it. And you're like, why am I crying now? I don't know. I'll just let it come, right? Because something's releasing, something's,
Yes.
and then even like as we started this podcast, and I was saying, we go from freezing cold rain, and I'm like, oh, Mother Earth was crying. Like, I don't know, right? To sweltering,
Mm,
right? And so just as just as nature looks after herself, we have to go inward and look after our own self.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you finding within your own clients that people are willing to look inward more?
You get a combination. Some people are ready, some people are not ready. So the ones that are ready are highly open to the work, which is real a joy to work with
Mm-hmm.
because it's just very easily let go of. The people that resisting
Mm-hmm.
or not quite sure, they are the ones that don't commit, obviously, because for whatever reason it's not quite right timing for them, and that's fine. It's okay. I respect people's choices
Mm-hmm.
because they do need to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes people just need a bit of reassurance that in order for them to release the emotion, they don't actually have to relive the past or experience the emotion. Okay, they can do it very comfortably
Yeah.
and very quickly. So it doesn't have to be traumatic and emotional. They'll
Yeah.
actually feel better afterwards rather than worse afterwards.
We're on the same wavelength, because it's like we don't have to go revisit it. It's just a movie. And you go, it's a gone. Like, just or however your process or whatever, right? Um, what are you seeing as the biggest hurdle right now in your practice?
In terms of what clients are going through.
Yeah, like because as a world, there
Mhm.
was talk that back in the day, no one had self-worth. Like that was the core wound for the world. Whether you live in Uganda or Canada or Australia, like everyone had some form of self-worth. What are you finding is coming through your practice right now?
I'm finding that there's a lot of lingering trauma coming through, a lot of lingering trauma. And what I mean by that is that, the lockdowns have been quite traumatic for a lot of people. Some people have dealt with them better than others, of course. Other people are still struggling a lot. And so lingering trauma is basically, people have gone through a significant event like the
Mhm.
lockdowns. It's something that most people haven't experienced before, depending on the generation, but it's something that's been major. It's been a shock event for most people, came out of nowhere, surprise. And so people um, went through the experience, and sometimes it can take a bit of time for the effects to flow through, because people, when it initially happens, they're in sort of survival mode.
Mhm.
Let's cope with this. How do we cope with this? And they're just looking at, what do we need to do to cope with this?
Mhm.
And then the flow and effects come afterwards. And so I'm seeing people who are disconnected from their life and other people that are just walking around, and this is what they're telling me. They're walking around in a daze, not really living life, just existing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So like this emptiness.
Mhm.
Uh, they're putting aside, the financial pressures, etc., but just generally in terms of emotions. So some of the symptoms that they report are feeling really tired and exhausted and burnt out. So burnout is actually a symptom of lingering trauma, one of the symptoms. Sleeping difficulty, poor concentration, overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with a whole bunch of emotions. So they're getting really angry and frustrated and emotional at a drop of a hat. And, it's just all too much.
Mhm.
Uh, um, Apathy is another one. They're feeling apathetic, can't be bothered doing things because they're so exhausted. So these are some of the signs that I'm noticing, not just in the clients that I work with, but also when I network with people and talk to people, this is what they're expressing to me. Yeah.
Very interesting
Mm,
because um that ties in perfectly what I'm noticing. And it's like, whether it's right or wrong, it's just maybe a theory I'm working on for a rabbit hole, is because we haven't had a war in our generation,
mm,
we are bringing it in through our DNA. And so the pandemic was kind of like our version of the war, but yet
mm.
the the DNA of generations came to settle in on it too,
Yes, yes, yes,
right?
yes,
And so
yeah.
it's this magnifying things, and you're just
Mm,
like yeah, like I look at these young kids that are being born now, and they're so different.
mm,
Yet, what are we building for them to live in?
mm. Yeah. I think we need to address uh, what we're feeling as a society, like adults, so that we
Hmm.
can be good examples for the children and the next generation, and show them that it is possible to cope. It is possible to thrive after an event like that,
Hmm.
rather than just exist. So I think, we need to think about what example are we setting for the younger generation and future generations as
Hmm.
well. Yeah.
Well, and like I've talked to many nurses and doctors and people that work with kids, and they're like, they're different. They're coming in different. And I'm like, I
Mm,
know, because they're trying to wake us up. Like, right. And
yeah.
and I say that flippantly, but not really,
Mhm.
because um it is about waking up to your own inner light, whatever that
Yes,
looks like, right?
exactly.
And if it's these courses or working with coaches or that will help you find that inner light to
Hmm.
shine,
Yes.
we ask you. please do it. It's
Yes,
time,
it
right?
is. Yes.
Because um like, and well, and it's even, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and she's like going on, and I go, "That's a nice story." And she wrote back, "What?" And I said, "That's a nice story. You can keep it or not keep it, but like,
Mm,
right?" So, what is the narrative that you keep on telling yourself of what's happening outside of yourself,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
And I'm
Hmm.
saying, I'm the light that's a duck. Everything rolls off because as long as I stay within my light, the world's going to do what it's going to do. Can I control it? No. Can I say have a say in it? No. I only can say what I can do. So
Yeah,
I can show up with as the light, I can show up as love, and I can show up as kindness.
yeah. And if everyone did that, imagine the world.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. Like that's what the message I keep on sharing, right?
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
go in and find your inner wisdom and in your light. So the craziness of the news or the road rage or it's just, that's nice.
Yeah. What I've been saying to people for the last 23 plus years, please, please, please stop watching the news. It's National Depression Hour. It's all negative, and it doesn't give you the positive. So it's biased to the negative. So it's not really what's happening in the world.
And it's not even
And
true anymore. It's all,
exactly, exactly.
right
And
because it's
yeah,
like it depends on what country, it depends on what, if it's an election year, it depends on election,
yeah, exactly.
right?
And actually, yesterday I was doing a bit of groceries, and in our little shopping centre, there was a little stand with a couple of police officers there, educating the community about keeping their homes safe because we've got a bit of a crime situation here. So they're giving people tips, etc. And so I was having a conversation to this police officer, and he agreed. He said, "Stop watching the news. They're sensationalising what's actually going on."
Hmm.
So I thought, wow, what an enlightened police officer. I like it.
Well, and I used to volunteer with a police officer, and I said, like, what's going on? Like,
Hmm.
and he says, oh, you're only getting maybe 3%. I'm like, well, I understand that, but I'm still saying, like,
Yes,
what's going on? What's the energy in the city? Like, or is it
yes.
just us, or is it wider spread than just us?
Mm,
And and so um yeah, and I could tell by how he would come in for his volunteer shift because
mhm.
it's with horses, right? And I'm like,
Yeah,
I'd say to his son, your dad really needs the horses, eh? Yep. And that's all we'd say. Because he'd
yeah,
go and be with the horses would help him, and then he'd slowly start coming out, right? Because whatever happened on the overnight shift was the tough one.
that's right.
you
Yeah.
know and
Mm,
I wouldn't I no one, you couldn't pay me enough millions of dollars to do that job, even though I
no.
tried that. I was in between
Uh-huh.
that and law, like the criminal justice system.
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know
Mm,
but I like the fact that uh I'm going back to when you're younger, about to any other person it wasn't a big deal to get a
uh,
C,
yes.
but for you that was a pivotal moment of, that's never going to happen again,
Yeah.
right? Did it make you
Hmm.
leery of people? Like that
No,
a couple people could bring down the whole class like that?
it's actually interesting. I turned that experience inward rather than outward. So I wasn't blaming or, upset with what happened, what the naughty girls did, etc. That it was more my internal dialogue and my internal process and the meaning I put on it, which was, oh gosh, this, it's like a reflection of me. I took it too personally. Yeah. And so, that became like that was like gospel. Yeah. Now that was no way I could be a nurse. That's the way I interpreted that. Yeah.
That's interesting. Were you
Mm.
always hard on yourself?
I used to be, yes. I used to be. So yeah. Um, or got A's, and then that was like devastating because it wasn't my typical standard. Yeah.
So was that something you did to yourself or you felt peer pressure?
Oh, with the A's?
Yeah.
No, I did that to myself. It was purely self-inflicted, shall we say.
Wow.
Yeah,
Where did
purely
that
self.
stem from?
Well, it stems from, insecurities I had about not being good enough, not being worthy, etc. So constantly proving that I am. So getting A's was my way of showing myself, not the world, myself, see, you are good, you can do
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy what we do to ourselves, eh? Without
yeah.
even help.
And does it really matter at the end of the day if it's A or B? I mean, sure, to get into different schools and unis, it makes a difference. But is it worth, all the stress we go through?
Well, and then you kind of wonder about our whole school system anyways,
Hmm.
because I knew kids that they probably went to school 25% of the time and were straight A students. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you do that? And they go, because it's boring, it's dumb. Like
Yes.
they're just so much, they were so advanced for their time. And then
Hmm.
you're like, wow. And so I started really thinking about my school and saying, well, how important is this?
Mm.
Right? Was I
Yes.
going to university? Maybe, maybe not. Right? I wasn't doing it right after high school because I didn't have the money to, right? And it wasn't like I had family to help me. And I was also brought up in a family that, you don't carry debt to go to school. So I'm like, okay. So I went and lived for a bit, right?
Okay.
And yeah, so it's interesting how just minor things can be this life altering shift. And you
Yes.
probably don't even know it while you're in it. It's not
Exactly.
until you get like
Mhm.
perspective of a few years going, wow, look at that pivot.
And that's exactly what happens in the first 7 years of life as children. We make these choices and subconscious decisions. And often as children, we have very active imagination. So we'll make a mountain out of a molehill. My case is a case in point. Something little will happen and we'll like over exaggerate it and make life-changing decisions based on that sometimes. Yeah.
Well, but they always say, right? If as adults, if we fell as much as a baby does trying to walk, no
Mm.
one would ever walk in history. Because
Yeah.
right? And then like when you see these little guys, you're just like, how could you not have the biggest world to dream in
Mm.
and to play and imagine and just have fun,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Fun is very important.
pardon?
Fun is very important.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, right? So that's what I've come to realize, like through even networking and stuff. It's like I'm starting to not show up to places, even though I've gotten good networks out of them. I'm like, they're just not fun. Like if I'm gonna give up an hour,
Hmm.
which doesn't seem like a lot, but over time that adds up to a lot of time.
Does.
Where's my best time spent?
Exactly.
And I'm like,
Yes.
I want to have fun. I want to learn. I want to have fun. I want to meet great people. I want to support each other. And
Yes.
yeah, um, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with this next question. Um, so when you're working with clients, obviously they have to have a trust factor with you because of the work you're doing,
Hmm.
right? Are you finding people are more no, easier to trust because they're just done with the tape that's playing?
Uh, people, uh, yeah, some people come with trust issues. I mean,
Yeah,
they've been burnt, so they need help with overcoming trust issues.
yeah,
Others are pretty good with trust. So, and it's general. It's not specific to me, of course. It's
no,
general.
no,
Yeah,
yeah,
part of the thing that I need to do is make sure that I create a safe, a non-judgmental environment for people very quickly, and build that environment where they can open up and feel comfortable. And I do that very quickly, very easily. And so people will tell me things, and they'll say, "Oh, wow, I've never told anyone this before. I just feel really safe with you." So that is a really, really important skill for any practitioner to have, because, we're there to help people. And if we're just working on the surface and we don't create an environment where people can really dig deep and go and express what's really going on for them, truly going on for them, we won't
Mhm.
be really helping them in a long term.
Well, and I can second that about the trust because in one of our conversations, I was like, what? What did she say? And we were on this trajectory of this conversation. Then we went flying out the door to another trajectory. And I was just like, I still don't know what you said to do
Mm,
that. But I was just like, oh, this is interesting.
mm,
Right. And so, and it's interesting because, um, like when I'm working with new people, it's like, well, what made you decide to come to me? And they always say I hold the space.
mm.
Right?
Great.
And I'm
Mm.
like, well, of course, because I'm all about the house, right? I'm all about, holding that container
Mhm.
for whatever has to come out, whether it's tears, stress, like crying, like or anger, like let it go. You're safe. You're not going to get hurt. There's no judgment.
Yep.
I'm going to hold the space in love,
Mm. Yeah,
you know.
great.
And
Really.
yeah, so it's just it's fascinating because and it's funny because in networking, one of the ladies asked if I was in competition with this other person. I said, I have no competition. And
Yeah,
she said,
agree.
pardon? I said, I have no
Mhm.
competition. I said, people who are coming to me
Mhm.
won't go to her and vice versa.
Mm.
And if they do, even if we did the exact same thing,
Mhm.
our approaches are different.
Different personality. Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Mhm.
Like I'm
Yeah.
aware of this stuff you do.
Mhm.
I didn't choose to go further in other than, you do it on me. That's cool. Like, right? But then I have different modalities that do the same kind of work, but in its own way,
Mm. Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, like, and that's one thing that's really cool about this time is the internet has made the world everyone's client and
Ye-
and helper.
Yes.
And
Yes. Absolutely.
that's a game changer.
And I totally agree with you, Adele. The only competition we truly have is ourselves, in terms of continually improving ourselves and being a better version of ourselves today than we were yesterday.
Mhm.
That's my view. And anyone that focuses on competition, their focus is in the wrong place, I believe. So rather than focusing on other people, which is outside your control, you can't control what other people do. Focus on yourself. Focus on you. How can you be a better practitioner, a better person, a better parent, a better, whatever you want to do.
Well, but I think it's also why we're so divided,
Yeah.
right? Because
Mm,
so much of growing up and it was like who's gonna get to the top and who's gonna eat first and it's just like whatever. And
yeah.
then people used to say to me like, "Why don't you care?" And I said, "I care, but I'm not gonna fight about it,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
If I
Yeah.
really want something and
Mhm.
I it's in my grasp to get it, yeah, I'll step over you. But really,
Yeah.
is there anything that like and I guess I've seen that working with couples is like say someone cheated or whatever and it's just like well we were kind of seeing that we weren't really meant to be together.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have said, I think we should leave before the like the heartache happened. But it's like, but then on the other hand, someone has to make that judgment call to say it's not working. Or before we get to this spot, let's start dating. See why
Mm,
we fell in love together in the first place,
yeah. Mm,
right? And
yes.
I remember seeing an interview with a couple. I think they were married 70 years,
Oh, wow.
right?
Okay. Hmm.
And they're like, "How'd you do it?" And they both started laughing. And he says, "Oh, some days I'd just walk out that door going, I'm never coming back." Right. And then other days she'd say, "I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him." But we never did it on the same day. So if he was mad at me, I loved him that day. And if he was right, and vice versa. She goes, and they said that's how we made it.
Okay.
We
Mm.
never hated each other on the same day.
Well,
But
that worked for them. Great.
I know, but it's like so simple, but yet it's so true,
Mm, yeah.
right? Your partner comes home before you start going, meh, meh, it's like, find out what kind of day they had.
Mm,
Can they even accept any more stuff on their plate?
that's
Or do you
right.
have to table it for a couple hours or another day or something, right?
Mm,
Because I was even working with this one client and I said, book an appointment with your husband.
mhm,
And she goes, why would I do that? And I said, because they're single minded. They're not going to catch that you talked about the kids as you walk by the room. They're not going
mm,
to say here that, the car needs to go into the shop.
mm,
And, and then a few weeks later, he phones and says, thank you. That saved us.
mm. Often it's quite simple, and often it's about really understanding what makes each other tick and communicating in more effective ways with each other.
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes there's deeper things going on, but
Oh,
often it's,
definitely.
yeah.
But it's just, say it's more of the respect in the relationship of you don't know where their mind is, right?
Mm,
They might be like, as you say, into the accounting, right? They're
yeah.
not even looking up to say Johnny has what? Like, did I
Hmm.
just hear somebody talk to me,
That's right.
right?
Hmm.
And so I say it's being fair to both sides,
Yes.
right? If
Mm,
they're fit, like I need 20 minutes, to talk. Okay, 15 minutes, you'll have my undivided attention. Either way, men or women, right?
yes. Agree.
Or just put it in the diary every week.
Hmm.
What's going on with the kids? What's going on with the house? What's going on? Like, let's just touch base. It might be a 5-minute conversation of the to do list,
Hmm.
or it might be an hour, but at least it's scheduled. It's not getting slammed or interfering with date night or, you know,
Mm,
so,
yes. Yeah. I think I was listening to some sort of video on YouTube or somewhere, and there was a couple that was referred to, and the gentleman said he doesn't want to go on holidays with his wife anymore because every time they go on holidays together, she gives him a to-do list while they're
yeah,
on holidays.
that was
Yeah.
part of our last conversation.
Oh, wasn't there?
I was,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you mentioned that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
because he was like, he's going on vacation because he's maxed out.
Yes, that's right.
And she's like, honey. And he's like, no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's how make a date.
It is.
Let's, like once a
Mm,
week, like let's figure out where the house is at, right? Because
yes.
especially nowadays, I mean, the kids got 3 or 4 activities, you got activities, like you're out with the girls, like they're out with the boys, like where's our kid? I don't know. Like he's not in his room. Nope. Right?
Oop.
And and we've just so overscheduled,
Mm, yeah, I
right?
think,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm,
And
agree.
so it brings up the thing of when you're going within, like how are you going within? Is it meditation? Is it walking in nature? Is it just being by yourself in the quiet? Is it
Mm,
going for a drive? Like find your sweet spot.
Yes.
right?
Very important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like yeah, I used to do a lot of driving, and I used to just go, "Oh, it's so beautiful." And even when as a professional driver, it was so funny. And I'd hear, oh, like I'm in my sweet zone, right? Forgetting that I got a full bus behind me, and all of a sudden I'll hear, "Oh, and coming up in the next kilometer, the driver, our driver's going to be taking us to the right," and I'll kind of zone back in. Got it. Because I'm just like, I'm in my sweet spot. I'm playing in my mountains. I don't care that there's nattering on behind me, right?
Absolutely.
But it's
Yeah.
just funny how the tour directors would be like, she's not with us. I'm like, I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah.
I never wasn't safe.
Of course. Of course.
If any of my other, past clients in the bus were listening, you know. But yeah, like it's just so, um, what would you say to someone listening to this of not necessarily stuck or whatever, but just kind of wondering, like,
Mhm.
what's a step they could take? How do they recognize that maybe it's time to seek outside help?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so I think the first step is always self-awareness. And because a lot of our behavior is subconscious, sometimes we're not consciously aware of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So what I suggest to people is start to become consciously aware, start to pay attention. So firstly, pay attention to your thoughts. Are they positive? Are they negative? Do your thoughts hold you back from doing things, or do your thoughts encourage you from to do things? Yeah. So your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, what do you say to yourself? Secondly, pay attention to the way you communicate with people. Is it effective? Are you getting the response you want back? Or are you just making a request and people are getting angry with you? Okay, so that's not necessarily working. Okay, so you need to change your approach, how you communicate with them. If people are left confused after you speak with them, again, you're not getting the outcome you're after. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
what do you need to change around that? Thirdly, is pay attention to your emotions. So if you find that your emotions, your buttons are being pushed, if you find like you're sitting over dinner, just an innocent conversation, and somebody says something and you overreact to them. You take it too personally, or you start to cry for no reason, or you get really angry with them. A button got pushed. Okay, so acknowledge, okay, a button got pushed. What am I going to do with it? Okay, it's my button. So am I going to deal with it or just let it keep being pushed?
Yeah.
Yes, it's all a choice. Yeah? And finally, your behavior. Pay attention to your behavior because your behavior will show you whether you're doing the things you want to do or not, whether you're putting things off, being distracted, etc. Okay, so they're the things to pay attention to. And they're quite easy to pay attention to. And just you'll notice patterns. You'll notice that you repeatedly do the same thing. For example, somebody annoys you and you run to the fridge and, eat something.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, a coping strategy for stress, yeah, for some people. Or, there's a lot of pressure at work. Automatically the person goes outside and has a cigarette,
Mm-hmm.
their way of coping. So, how do you cope with stresses? Are they effective strategies or are they ineffective strategies? And how much are those behaviors costing you as well? Because some of them are very expensive. It takes a lot of money to smoke these days. It takes
Oh,
a lot of money to, drink more than in moderation and to, go out all the time and spend lots of money on things you don't need. So, these, retail therapy is another way people cope.
yeah.
So you're overspending and buying things you don't really need, but it's your way of dealing with life, then, that's a sign that something may need to change as well. And
Well,
people
and
get,
it's also like, don't get upset with your partner if they mention something, because they're only saying it in loving kindness.
yeah,
Like
again,
something is off. Like, are you
yep,
okay?
yep, that's right.
you know?
That's right. And so I always ask people to think about this. Um, when a button gets pushed, are you owning it or are you dumping it on somebody else? Okay.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, are you dumping your stuff? Stuff is a technical term for, buttons and issues.
Yeah.
Or are you owning it and doing something about it and saying, look, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have, gotten angry with you. I'm just going through a bit of stress at the moment. And, all is well. Yeah. Rather than dumping it and then leaving that person, upset because they just got blamed for something that wasn't theirs.
Well, and I think this is where women are lucky because they have that support of, I just got to vent. And I'm saying, but you got to do that with your partner regardless and
Mhm.
allow each of you to say, you know what? I just got to vent. Like, get it
Yes.
off your chest, right?
Yes.
And then if they want response, then you go, uh-huh. Uh-huh. Like you don't add any extras, right? Until
Yes.
they ask because and especially with men, like they were taught to fix. Right. Well, it's not even men because I'm known as the fixer, right?
Mm.
And it's like because it's like, someone will start talking. I'm like, am I listening to fix or help or just you're venting? I'm
Yeah.
venting. Perfect. I tune them out.
Yeah. That's what I say to people as well. Check what people are wanting. If they just want to vent, you can just cruise.
Yeah.
You don't need to solve anything.
Yeah.
Because if you jump in and want to solve, it can make it worse.
Yeah. And then it's like all buttons on every side gets pushed and you're like,
Mm,
I was fine and peaceful here. Like you came to me, right?
that's it.
But it's like, I need to vent. Sure, I'll keep working. No
Yeah.
big deal, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
yeah, like it's just um it's, and it's funny because when I worked corporate, I had this one coworker and he like I mean he's actually still a neighbor for me, right? But he goes he'd come and he go, oh, some days you just astrobate me, and I'm like, huh, has nothing to do with me. And he goes, what are you talking about? I go, that's your stuff, has nothing to do with me. And then he just walk away, just even worse. And right, or my boss, he'd be like going to the big corporate meeting or whatever, and I'd be like, you're a general already. You can't wear a red shirt to the corporate meeting. Why not? I said, because you're too hot under the collar. No pun intended.
Mm,
And so I made him bring in some lighter color shirts in case he forgot what meeting he had in.
hmm.
And then I go, you're changing. He goes, what? And I go, you're changing. And he go, how do you know this? And I go, because I'm smart.
Yeah.
Right? Because then the VPs were understanding like he wasn't coming all hot under the collar and he like there was dialogue and
Mm.
I mean there's a whole science on it of what to
Knowledge.
wear, right? A
Knowledge.
red tie to a blue tie, totally different conversation.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Psychology of color, it's very important. It reminds me of a practitioner that I knew years ago. His main focus was anger management,
Hmm.
and he would always wear a red jumper. And I'm thinking, that's like a red rag to a bull.
Yeah.
So he'd be, counseling couples in anger management and wearing red. And I'm thinking, maybe a calmer color would be easier.
But or he's wearing the red to get them to get heated so they get to the issue faster.
Yes, and there was a lot of screaming in that room that I heard, and a
Yeah.
lot of people walking out in tears and nothing resolved. So
Well,
unfortunately,
I didn't say his method worked. I'm just saying
oh,
I could
just
understand it, right?
yes, yeah, yeah,
And um because it's also working with those ones that are time punchers, right? That you're
mm,
like you're on that crux of just getting through the biggest breakthrough and they go, time's up, see you next week. And
Yes.
I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
Right. And that's important too. Like when
Mm,
you're looking for whether it's a therapist, a coach, or whatever,
yes.
if they put the dollar ahead of the time,
Mm,
they might not be your person.
that's
But if
right.
but on the other hand, I say that too because like so the session might be an hour or whatever, right? And if we're done in 20 minutes and you're done, we're done. Do I give you a discount? No, because the
Mm,
work got done. You're just really fast and really on it that day. So it went really fast.
mm, yeah.
Congratulations. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you see that in your practice too. Like some people might just like, like they're stewing on something, and you take them through and you're just like, boom, 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 boom. And they're like, oh, I feel better. Great. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do
You
you
should
have anything else to bring up for the next 20 minutes of our session? Right?
Yeah. Well, there's other things we end up doing. So we end up focusing on making sure that they have the skills and resources to more effectively deal with life.
Yeah.
So that way they get value just
Yeah.
in things that they weren't necessarily expecting. So, extra bonuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
To
I
help.
like I'm saying that because sometimes the the shift will be so deep so fast
Mhm.
that they absolutely cannot take anymore. Like even if it's just fun tips and tricks, they're not hearing it. So it's it's kind of
Mm,
a, do you want to go further? No. And it's like, nope, I'm done. Okay. See you when we see you.
mm,
So as
yeah.
we wrap up, this has been a fascinating conversation.
Mm.
How would you want what do you want the for the final wrap up for the audience to hear, understand?
Okay, so something that most people are unaware of is that the negative self-talk. The negative self-talk is a form of self-hypnosis. They're hypnotizing themselves to fail, and most people don't realize that.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, people out there are saying, oh, I'm worried about, other people hypnotizing me or brainwashing me. I'm thinking, focus on yourself. You're doing it to yourself first. So you need to stop doing it to yourself. You need to stop the negative self-talk and the negative hypnosis and turn it into a positive. And that's what I help people to do. Yeah. That's what I help them to
See
do.
that we should have started with that. Because I can go so many different ways with that. That is
Yeah.
so powerful because
Hmm.
that's just one more way to say, bring it inward.
Exactly. Exactly. And
No, and you prove that with your C because you had the self talk tape going.
hmm
I'm not worthy. I have to have A's to be worthy. I
hmm
got a C. Well, that just changes my whole trajectory. And so if people are saying, well, they're making me feel that way, or this is, and it's like, that's your self talk. Go chill,
Exactly.
go in,
Hmm.
let the whatever you believe stop the tape,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
That's
Yes.
powerful.
Yeah. And so,
That's the first time I've ever heard that way.
yeah, that's something that I've realized because I also obviously run trainings in hypnosis as well. And that's what I say to the practitioners right up front in class. People are hypnotizing themselves to fail. And so, they're already doing it. We
Yeah.
already hypnotize ourselves. Watching the news, there's a negative self-hypnosis. Okay. Like you were driving the bus and you were oblivious to what other people were saying. You were in a nice, relaxed form of
Hmm.
hypnosis. Yeah. So we are constantly putting ourselves into a hypnotic trance. Most of the time with our self-talk, if it's negative, it's a negative trance. So we need to break that negative trance. Yeah. And so, that's why people like me exist. So people can come along, stop that negative self-talk, and I help them to do it quickly and permanently. So it's done.
Yeah.
And then replace it with the positive so they have the confidence and success they want.
Well, And I just want to put a caveat in there. I couldn't tell what they're talking about anyways because it wasn't in an English language. So I wasn't really able to listen to what they were saying anyways.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I know. It's just funny.
Yeah.
This is so amazing. And it's those little tweaks that one doesn't even realize that, like, it's like, I'm going to go back to the Netflix, right? So you have a bad day or a bad week, whatever. So you watch 5 movies, whatever, right? Just don't hold yourself to keep that up for the next year because then you got a problem. But if it's like you acknowledge what's happened, okay, carry on, move on. Or as
Mm.
that tape is playing of the negative, right? Be aware. Thanks for sharing. Like, don't eat the pint of ice cream. Just thank you, right? And reprogramming your mind for what your inner thoughts are of the positive, the light, the blessings, the gratitudes.
If I can add one more thing,
Yeah.
so all of that is great, Adele. Um, some people will use affirmations, positive affirmations. Positive affirmations will only work if we truly believe what we affirm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people are, putting in positive affirmations and they don't believe a word of it, the beliefs that are sitting on a subconscious level always win.
Yeah. And what it was Michael Loge that said that. He goes, I can do positive affirmations till the cow come home that
Mm,
I'm like athletic and thin and all this. And he goes, if anyone knows me, you know that affirmation's never gonna work. I'm a big guy. I'm
mm,
not really fat. I'm just a big guy. I can do sports, but I'm not an athlete. Like,
mm.
he goes, so that affirmation's never gonna work for me. So I'm not
Yeah,
gonna brainwash myself to think it is.
yeah,
I just thought it's funny.
yeah. And it actually can create a bigger, deeper issue. It create a, um, an internal battle where people are believing opposite things, and then it causes people to be indecisive and flip-flop between things. So it can cause a bigger problem.
Well, I can see that.
Yeah.
I've seen that in my own life.
Mm.
Of where like, well, I don't know, should I do this? Should I do that? And then now I just say yes. If spirit says do a podcast, I go, what? Okay, yes. Right. And
Surrender.
here we are.
That's it.
This has been absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad you're on the show, and all your links and everything will be in the show notes. So anyone who's listening who wants to have a session with you, go to the show notes. And thanks for tuning in. Once
Thank
again, it was Authentic Conversations. I'm your host, Adele Bernard, and the company Transition Clarity.
thank you, Adele.
Wow, what a wonderful conversation. We went a lot of different places. I hope you guys can follow. Um, More importantly, I think out of that whole conversation is going inward. Like, we're in crazy times right now. And are you being the duck that's letting the come off your back? Or, like the analogy, right? The buffalo always turns into the storm or the cow turns away from the storm. Who gets through the storm faster? The buffalo. Um, and once again, we love you to follow us, subscribe, like, and leave some comments what you think. If you like these kind of recordings, if you have other people that you would like, I just follow my heart to who's on the show. Um, it's working for me until the audience tells me different. So, again, another authentic conversation. I'm the host, Adele Bernard from Transition Clarity. Until next time.